Today we have a silly ball joint on a 2008 Dodge Journey. See, it's cupped in there. You can't get a ball joint press on it. This was something I believe is commonly a Honda thing back in, that I've been dealing with for a long time. But Dodge was like, hey, that's a horrible idea. Let's start doing it too. So here we are. Let me show you how to get her done. There was a snap ring right here. See, we got it right here. One cool thing is, look at that splash guard, dust shield, rock shield, whatever. 3 bolts, it comes out. Don't have to worry about bending it. So that was a good idea. So we simply have a bench vise. You're gonna want to start off with, well, this is number one. There's many ways to skin this cat. You want a decent air chisel, preferably a bit that's fatter than this. They make those ones like that, and I should buy one, but I'm cheap. So we got it soaking in penetrant for a while right there after the snap rings out. Get a little penetrant there too, and this ball joint presses only this way. This is only a 2018. It's not all rusty. This doesn't look like your typical Rust Belt vehicle, so I think our chance of success could be high here. We're gonna hit it with that air chisel, and then we can also apply some heat to the knuckle. I don't like to do that when I can get away with not doing it, but we'll see. It may just come out with some simple air chiseling and soaking down in penetrant. Let's go for it.
A few moments later.
Now, I really didn't go to town for that long, but I don't think this is gonna work. Like I said, one of them broader tips, more powerful air chisel. Maybe would have got this one, maybe not. All right, so ball joints love to be taken out and put in smoothly and squarely, right? We can't get any square hits on this one. You can use a ball joint master kit and finagle something on there to get it to crack free. Once it cracks free, you can usually beat them out or air chisel them out, even if they're nice and rusty. This one not being super rusty and being soaked down, I feel like the old purse can get it off with some shocking blows. If we can get it just to crack its seal. Now, most ball joints that look this clean, you can just boom, give it some big hits, and they'll come out. No press needed to take them out. We are coming in at an angle. Let's give her a few more big blows, and of course, I'm by myself, and I have to hold it myself, and I don't want to come down and hit this steering knuckle. Big no-no. If I hit my hand like that, ooh, would that hurt. Give her a couple more poundings. And we got her. We got her, guys. Woo! Little lube. Vibrations and shock. Yeah, it'll do it. Nope, our socket is bottomed out on the knuckle, so now we can switch back to the air chisel, or we could go with, whatever, a long extender or whatever. It's broken free now. Shot right out of there. Now we're gonna clean our bore right here, make sure it's nice and clean, and prep the new ball joint for insertion. All right, so they say you're not supposed to grease your ball joints on your bore and your press threads. I've been doing this for a long time. I've never had a problem. customers, lifelong customers, servicing their vehicles for hundreds of thousands of miles. Never had a problem, and I want this one to go in smooth, so I'm greasing this one. Grab yourself a deep well socket that'll fit over the ball joint, that lip, inside of that lip, outside of that lip, any size. I went with a ball joint cone. This ball joint happens to have a removable boot, easily removable boot, I should say. Any boots are removable. Now you're going to want to look out for a notch on your ball joint somewhere. Some of these brands have an inboard or outboard notch. This one happens to not. This is a Movotech Supreme. I highly recommend Movotech Supreme or Moog Supreme ball joints. They seem to hold up longer than anything else. And our stud is facing downwards. We're going to put it on here, and of course, with anything like this, pressing it in is preferred. We're going to get that started. We want to get it to start gripping. Now we can use a shop press for this situation. We can put our cone right here and then get it in the shop press and press downward, which would press the ball joint in. This style I am not too worried about at all as far as hammering it in. It's not going to do any damage to the ball. So yeah, I could take it out of the device, go into my other room, put it in the press, but I'm going to see if I can just slammer this guy in, and it won't hurt anything. I've seen people do press-in wheel bearings this way, and they fail immediately or very soon. Always use a press for your wheel bearings. I can't get a really good slam because of the angle I have it in the vise. You want to kind of look at your ball joint and see if it's going in smooth. I am a little cocked inward on the top, so I want to make sure that bottom kind of straightens out. There we go. Pretty nice and even now. And because I am at a downwards angle, that was for kicking it out, I don't want to be at a downwards angle. And you got to get this into your vise very tight if you want it to hold with all these slammers. Very tight. Give it the gusto. Now we can get more of a goose grip light. Shout out. Love it. And now we can get more of a straight angle on it. Make sure it's going in nice and smooth, not cocking one way or another. We're looking perfect. You hear that noise kind of change? It means we bottomed out. To make sure we're all the way in there, we're going to do the thumbnail test. Run our thumbnail in between that ledge on the ball joint and the knuckle. And make sure you can't get your thumbnail in there. On this right side, I can just a little bit. A couple more hammer blows. Make sure you're seated nice and flush and all the way in there. There we go. That's the thumbnail test. Now we take our new snap ring, which should have been provided with the ball joint. We also got our Zerk fitting that goes up here, and we're gonna put that in after the snap ring and make sure it's facing at an angle you can get the grease gun onto. So with the CV axle in the way, typically these ball joints, you want them to be at an angle this way or that way, and you'll be able to get a grease gun in there. All right, so it's a different style snap ring. These are easier to hammer in, hammer out. And yeah, you can use snap ring pliers. You don't need snap ring pliers. You can just go with some regular skinny pliers, but the snap ring has to go in this little slot first, and then you grab it, expand it out, push it down. It really helps to use a screwdriver if you're going that method and have somebody help you. So whatever tools you have available, get her done. And like I said, this was a ball joint with a removable boot, and then it comes with a boot installation tool. You just hammer the back of this and it'll seat onto that lip. Now with these ball joints, I like to add a little extra grease into that ball and then spin her around and kind of work that grease inward. But this one does come with a grease cert, so we don't really have to do that. We will grease it after it's installed. And so just spin this grease cert on. I need 2 fingers. I need some pressure and some turns. No big deal. I think that's a 10 millimeter on this one. So we're just going to install this boot. It's self-explanatory if you have any common sense. Just pop it right on there, and then that'll be ball joint installed. All right, so we were doing tie rods. Tie rods are pretty simple, but if you're going to do ball joints and control arms on this, the control arm, like if you're just doing ball joints, don't worry about removing the control arm. We're doing the control arms, the bushings head play. But you can see we got the control arm back in on this side. Pretty simple. You go over to the driver's side and you just run into one little issue. They got the transmission right in the way here. It will hit the transmission. So I got a floor jack right here on your transmission. There will be a little bit of play in your upper and lower motor mount there. Jack it up and it gives you a little bit more, but we still need another inch down. So we got 2 different ways to do this. You got your motor mount there, zip that out and the transmission will come up further. And if we do that, it may not give us enough. So we may have to disconnect the upper transmission mount as well, and then it'll go up enough. Other thing you can do is drop the cradle. You got cradle bolts right here. So we zip this off, looks like a 15. This looks like, I don't know, 21, 22, 23, something right like that. Now we would support it with a stand. We got a stand there, or jack stands, or floor jacks. And what we can do is just loosen that side, or possibly maybe even get away with just loosening this one right here. And you can see the cradle comes over this cross member, and you can loosen those two, and that just disconnects this whole side. And we're supported, and we come down carefully and slowly with our jack stand or our underlift stand. And we bring this whole cradle so that it kind of dips down at an angle. We just bring it all down at the same time. And that will lower this bolt enough to slide past the bottom of the transmission. So a little trickier on the driver's side if you're changing the control arm. Now we showed you ball joint replacement. So you're gonna take your CV axle nut off. That was a 32 millimeter, 2 bolts in the strut, disassemble your brakes. Jamie took the sway bar link off right here. I don't think there's a need to take the sway bar link off, but whatever. Got your tie rod off, and then you're left with what looks like this. Now you got to break that steering knuckle free from the control arm, and we're replacing it anyway, so you can hammer on the bottom of the stud, see if it breaks free. That doesn't always work. Only do that if you're replacing the ball joint. Pickle fork right here and a hammer works perfectly. See, a pickle fork looks something like this. I have different sizes and spreads, and you put it right there and you hammer it, and it forces the seal, the tapered seal on that, to pop off. Then our steering knuckle comes off. Put it in the vise, get your work done. But that's a quick rundown on ball joint, control arm replacement, 2018 Journey. This is gonna work for a lot of years. I'll probably put it in the description or something. See ya. Pro tip, I should have been filming. I took the 2 bolts out of the motor mount. Gives me a little bit higher on the transmission. And you can pop this side of the control arm out, so it's totally out of its home there. And then angle it and sneak it out. See the bolt? So this bolt's gonna go into the bushing, but not all the way sticking out, because then it won't go into its home here. So once we get this, see, we only got a little bit more to go. Once we get it inside there, we start straightening this bolt back in, and you can sneak it out without doing anything further. Take some finagling.